Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today we're going to be reacting to a little bit of this Jubilee thing. I know Jubilee is super touchy about copyright and things like that, so hopefully it's not too much. But even so, I need to do this for activistic purposes, but I'm really limiting it to this last interaction. I want to talk about it in terms of the zombie metaphor. This person is very, very, very in the TR. Marcy is very, very, very much in bingo, E followed by the letter D. Very much so. And I feel like Jillian really exposed that during this interaction. So we need to talk about it. By my estimation of severity, I would say that Marcy is a clicker, which is basically somebody who's severe and they're very reactive. And I'll break it down as she gets into that. I'm going to show you what that looks like because I do think that Jillian was triggering enough. I guess the presence of Jillian was enough to trigger her. So let's go ahead and break it down piece by piece. I will probably be adding some thoughts on what they say too, but it's mostly handled well by Jillian, honestly. I don't have much to say in terms of her whole performance. I would say she kept it really on topic. She was very good at doing that. They constantly tried to get her off topic, which is very zombie. There were a few personal attacks in that too. And we're going to see a lot of projection. So remember clickers, they like to project. So they love it. And one of the biggest things that Jillian argues against is the externalization of shame, honestly, within E followed by the letter D. So this is where we see a lot of people within the issue. They blame Victoria's Secret, they blame diet culture, they blame external things for why they feel the way that they feel, even though it's often just zombie horde activities. And keep in mind that people within the issue, they do reinforce each other, but you have to have it to be reinforced. If you tell somebody that doesn't have E followed by the letter D to do a cleanse, they might do it for a couple of days and then they'll be like, okay, I'm over this. Only the person that has the issue is going to do it for the whole a long ass time. I'll put it to you that way. Most people don't have the dedication to it. I'll put it to you that way. That's a very light way of describing it. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this.
Activity.
Oh, so her claim is shame is more harmful than body positivity. That's her claim, which that in and of itself is a very weird statement. It frames it as very black and white. So therefore, you have to agree with everything within the body positivity movement or you're supporting shame, which most people don't, unless if they're trying to make money off of people that do have shame, which that does happen on the channel. I call them wolves. So unless they're a wolf, or if they're a zombie, then they're going to use shame because they feel very shameful within the DIS order, and they will try to make you feel the same shame that they do, and they will project it onto you as well, especially as a clicker, which, yeah, this will be interesting. So see how calm she is now, and you'll see how she kind of goes into the mode. I'll tell you when she gets into zombie mode.
I don't disagree with you. I disagree with how it handles shame.
Let's talk about the show.
Okay.
Tell me more about your, tactics or who Jillian Michaels is to the world.
I can't describe who Jillian Michaels is to the world. I'm something to everybody. To some people.
Yes. So I have to cut it off every 10 seconds. You're going to have to watch the whole thing if you want. But it is a very TR, I call it toxic ritualistic. That's code for E followed by letter D. I have to say that. I have to make sure I say that every time. Because I have been getting comments from people are like, what is that? Toxic ritualistic. It's very TR to assume that you can control how other people see you. It is one of the universal beliefs within the toxic ritualistic. So all three of them, the major ones, believe that. And that's kind of like a foundational belief to the entire DIS order, if you think about it deeply enough, because how we are seen has to do with our physical form, and they're all about control. So it is a very foundational belief, a very foundational TR belief. Which again, I think if you honestly believe that, you're gonna be at least an entry level zombie, even if you don't have like you're not fully in E followed by the letter D, like you're at risk. I literally say if you believe that you can control how others see you, you are at risk of one. Like it is that foundational. So when she's talking to Jillian, that's the first thing she goes to. That is not a coincidence. One second. Okay.
I'm a hero that saved their life, which I never listen. I disown
35% of people.
Hold on, I disown that completely. It's not my accomplishment. It's a projection, right?
She tried to say 95% of people fail at weight loss. That's what she was trying to say. So she's shooting that other TR talking point right after. So she almost recites them like scripture. So if you see this, this is like, ooh, this person's severe. You know, this is bad. So she's very like, and she does, it doesn't show as super obviously reactive. I don't think that she goes into like a full-blown panic or a full-blown like freak out attack, but Jillian is being extremely like de-escalating. So that's because of how Jillian is approaching her. She's not necessarily going to get to that level, which I do think that that can be a strategy for sure. But I also think fighting it out can also be a strategy. So I think it depends, which Jillian also has done when she was on the show and stuff. She would yell it out and stuff. I think that that's valid. I think either version of this is valid. It depends on the person and the circumstance. I think that Jillian is probably talking more to the general public, which, I mean, I don't know how many more zombie metaphors I can have, but I literally feel like the general public is like flowers. They're like delicate little flowers, and then you have zombies. So I don't know why it makes me think of plants versus zombies, but I guess I just got a lot of zombie stuff swirling around in my brain. But it literally feels that way as like an activist or a firefly, which I would consider Jillian a founding firefly, basically. But regardless, another metaphor. I'm annoying. I don't care. She has to recite that like scripture is the point. Okay, so it's 95%. Don't do it, you know. So it's like almost everything. She isn't even talking to her on a human level right now. It's like she's literally like just, she's clicking. She's clicking. That's what she's doing. It's like this talking point, this talking point, this talking point. Well, who are you? Well, what is this? What is that, right? So she's not even engaging with her on a human level. It's
I know you guys don't like this talk, but it is a projection of the good mommy. I'm not that. I'm also the bad mommy. I'm the evil person that made them overweight, and I did this to them. I'm all these things to all these people. Who's Jillian Michaels? I mean, I'm 5'2". I spend a lot of money on laser hair removal. I got 2 kids. I mean...
How do you raise your kids? You use fear and shame to raise them?
projection. See? So then you go for the physical attack. Or not physical, sorry. That was really extra. You go for the personal attack is what I meant. I do have a migraine today, by the way. Horrible cold. It got Britishy cold all of a sudden. I hate it. I hate it. It's like winter is lashing out. It's like last death throw. And I'm pissed about it. That's why I'm dressed like this. And by the way, this jacket is amazing, but I thrifted it, so I can't tell you where to get it. But regardless, personal attack. You raise them with the shame. See? It's a projection and a personal attack. So that's another zombie activity. So Jillian can handle it. Can you handle it? Because she's also testing her. So she's seeing, can I push her? Will she break? People don't realize that. This is a zombie. If you aren't allowed to be pushed, then they will calm down. They start to become a lot more, I didn't mean it. Because you're not backing down. So you have to like hold your ground. You really do.
Does it seem like I use fear and shame to raise them?
Has Kyrie texted you back?
Of course, there's
I don't
not.
want to talk about it.
Does it seem like I use fear and shame to raise them?
Yeah, because you talk about using fear and shame.
I don't talk about. First of all, that is a life or death intervention on a ticking clock.
But
Biggest
do you
loser.
look at
That's
me and
not
see a life or
parenthood.
death need for an intervention right now? Be honest.
Yeah,
You might.
I do. We don't have a ticking clock, which means that if you chose to reach out to me,
We're
to
all on a
maybe
ticking
work on,
clock.
not in the way that you go home in a week, dude.
Right. So she doesn't have that perspective. Marcy is struggling with that empathy piece. So remember, I tell you that all the time. So she can't hold the perspective. She's clouded. She's a clicker, right? In the zombie show / game, the fungus comes out of their eyes and they're blind. She's blind. She can't think of the difference between a week on a TV show versus in Jillian's personal life or versus within a non-ticking time, like advocacy moment with somebody where it's not like you have 6 days. She can't register that. She sees it as all the same. I also see this a lot with clicker levels where they will, media is reality. Like there's no differentiation, which is, it could, I don't know if there's like actual like deficits in the brain that occur at that level of infection, but it's literally like if I see something on a fictional TV show, that is reality completely. Like they aren't able to do those subtle differences. They can't handle that anymore. So, I mean, you can get that back. Like if you're struggling with that, you can absolutely get it back if you recover. But it's like she doesn't understand the difference between Jillian on a reality TV show and Jillian in real life.
In the way that I get 6 days to try to figure out, to try to help you.
Okay,
That's
so you're back
very
to the
different.
show now, the ticking clock.
I thought we
being
were talking
is-
about. Well, you're
Sure.
asking me about fear, and I'm telling you that parenting and Biggest Loser, there's no parallel.
Okay, so shame.
Okay?
Shaming someone. So like,
I didn't say it's okay to shame someone. I'm telling you.
It's a projection. So the whole thing is a projection. Now, you do have to remember, Jillian did a lot of, like, she framed this earlier in the like, I don't know what to call this, the episode, I guess, of Surrounded. She framed this earlier where she said, like, oftentimes when I had to yell at somebody or when I was doing something, I had tried everything else first. And you don't see that on the show. I believe that. I do. I mean, editing is editing, you know. Reality TV isn't real. It's always dramatized. But that's still a problem. But it's a different problem, I'll put it to you that way. It has more to do with the reality TV industry and all that stuff.
That the utilization of these emotions, I'm telling you that shame is a signal. It's telling you, hey, look over here. This here, so
but shame from the world. Like any shame.
Yeah. So it always goes to the outside and it's always society. It's never you. Now, where I do disagree with Jillian is that when you're deep in the TR, shame becomes a manipulated emotion. It's something that you can no longer trust. And I know that that's a weird thing to say, but when you so habitually have used shame to reinforce an E fall by letter D or bingos for years and years, like somebody who is a clicker has done, which she has, you can't like really trust it anymore. It's like you don't, you have a bizarre relationship with shame. So even within recovery, you can at times have like whiplashes where you feel extremely shameful, then you don't feel any shame at all, right? You can kind of go back and forth. It's really weird. I almost wonder if there is an aspect of the brain that has to heal. I think it could, honestly, like if I think about it, my speculation is it has to do with serotonin signaling in the brain, which does have to do with eating. It's kind of interesting, and people should totally study that. But serotonin has to do with, it's like the conformity hormone. So it does a lot of stuff, but again, you want it to be balanced because you want to fit in but not be stifled, right? So if it's too much, then you feel stifled. If it's too little, then you act really crazy. But within bingo, it's like the brain doesn't register it anymore. That's why you don't feel full anymore, because it's like the same part of the brain. I swear it is. So it's very odd. But that's why I would tell a clicker, like, you can't really trust it because your perception of it is probably weird. And so then when that signaling comes back, it can be really strong. You can feel super shameful, which a lot of people feel when they initially start a downsizing process. Or you can feel like shameless when you're bingoing. It's just odd. It's really bizarre. But it's kind of like a constant state of drunkenness. I've tried to describe this, and she does have fatty liver as well. So again, there's a lot of physical overlap with alcoholism as well. It's kind of interesting. That's getting into like the physical aspect though. 1 second. All right.
I've felt it from, okay, we'll start here.
Shame from the word. You're externalizing shame, which is exactly what I don't agree with.
And you're saying that I've externalized it by
No.
carrying it on my body as well.
No, I'm saying when
That's a little bit of what you said earlier about the trauma is
hold on.
externalized.
Well, that would be utilizing your body as a container to manage emotions, if we're talking about in this particular.
And that would be very TR, very much so. I often see a correlation, or I've observed a lot of people that have bingo seem to be kind of avoidant. I experience that. I see it in a lot of people. I think she kind of is that way too. Like anytime it gets deep or real, she tries to shift the conversation, you know. It's kind of avoidant, which I observed in this interaction.
Particular instance. I can give you an example of that.
But again, you can have so many, like when she's that severe, which she's severe, there's a lot of compounding factors. There's like attachment style issues. There's probably, you know, trauma. I think she gets into some of it. There's a lot of stuff there. You know, there's physical issues. There's brain issues. Her brain is fried from the behaviors. I mean, there's so much when you're severe. It's very difficult. She's lacking empathy, right? There's her perspective. There's all these things that she's struggling with. And it's like, it's hard to talk about because there's so many layers to it. And I get that because I've been the same way, you know? So I get it. I know what it's like to be avoidant. I know. You know? It's like you have all these issues. They're all compounded. You have physical issues. You have all this stuff. It's very difficult to deal with. You don't want to get this bad. Like, if you can avoid it, please avoid it. You can still recover, though. I believe you can.
But, or not. So I'm not talking about shaming someone. I fundamentally disagree with that concept. I'm talking about the shame that is already there, not externalizing it. I'm talking about appreciating the fact that, like, okay, this is arising from within me. Where is this coming from and why? If we, instead of going, oh, I think I'm ashamed because of what they did or what they told me or what they... Now listen, people are absolutely, at one point or another, very often victims. However, how we choose to respond to that injury, okay, at one time,
It's true.
absolutely meant your psychological survival. It is how you survived that injury. The problem is it perpetuates and it no longer serves. But if we continue to repeat the pattern, it's actually called, has a name, it's called a repetition compulsion. And the goal, right, is I will master this. I will play this out. It's safer to play it out externally than where those feelings really belong, because that's painful. It's also safer because you don't have to suffer the primal loss of whatever was missing. So now, can I give you an example? I'm a shitty parent. We talked about this, but just follow me, right?
Yeah, she's describing like avoidant attachment very well. I don't know if that's what she's trying to do, but it's probably something that she has witnessed in a lot of people, because you'll find it, like especially people who are very big, it's you use your size to avoid everything and everyone. So I don't want to do that. Nah. I don't want this. Oh, nobody will like me if I'm big. You know, like you use it a lot. So she's almost like touching on that, which again, I do agree. I agree that there's a correlation. I don't think it's true for every single person within bingo. I think especially on my channel, I call it Mid-Sized Princess. I think Mid-Sized Princess energy can be very anxiously attached, so it can definitely go the other way too. Like I see a lot of people like that where they're like, I really, really want to be liked. You know, that's kind of that less severe version. But I think when you're very severe, it's like, I don't know. I'm not making a rule. I'm just saying I think there's a lot of correlations there, you know. Like I wonder if that's partly why I hated the mid-sized phase so much, because I'm so avoidant, and it like, or I was so avoidant. I need to stop identifying with it. And I was forced to deal with it. It's like I was forced to deal with people because I was hearing comments all the time and stuff like that. And it was like, oh my God, it's driving me nuts. It's driving me nuts. And I would get so mad. I was like, you know, fuck off. So it just doesn't mesh. You know, I think I told Robin, I filmed with Robin, if you guys could tell, I keep talking about it. But I told her in one of our collabs that like when I was mid-size, I was the most approachable. And it was tough. It just does not mix with being avoidant. It's like, ooh, you know. Now I'm not. Now people are like, maybe more, I don't know if intimidated is the right word, but I either just blend in or I don't look approachable anymore. And I'm like, oh. I'm like, what a relief. But I'm also introverted, so there's that. So, but anyway, she's really describing avoidant attachment here. So I just wanted to say that.
I'm a shitty parent. I'm not there for you. Okay, instead of you saying, oh my God, my mom was never available. I didn't get what I needed. And there's there's
This digital calendar lightening my mental load.
on me, right? I'm a shitty parent. I'm not there for you. Okay, instead of you saying, oh my God, my mom was never available. I didn't get what I needed. And there's there's
Peoples that feel that way.
okay. We then internalize that and go, it must be because I'm not good enough. Hence the sinner part, okay? Not because mommy is unavailable due to her own limitations. Instead, it gets internalized, and that is what becomes toxic shame. What is the primal injury that begot this emotion? And subsequently, how do I deal with it where it's appropriate? Meaning the right, like not Victoria's Secret, okay? The primal wound. And then in experiencing that loss, feeling those feelings, which really sucks and really hurts, which is why people have defense structures, coping mechanisms, so on and so forth.
She's right.
The way through that, you feel it, and then after you grieve it, after you explore it, then we can implement.
Await release.
No,
no.
Okay, she's going in a full zombie mode now. You ready for it? You ready? Full zombie, because she has to avoid it, because she's getting to some kind of emotional issue, so she can't handle it. She's like, I have to deflect immediately.
Trauma.
No, a perspective
I've released
shift.
it, and therefore then I will be
A
thin.
perspective shift and a behavior change.
Yes, of course. I've been desperate my entire life to change my behaviors and shift my this and change my eating and buy
TR.
Factor and go on this diet and sign up for the trainer and go to the gym and do the thing and pay thousands of dollars and get the Peloton and go to SoulCycle.
But that's all surface stuff, dude.
Sure, but
True. She's right. It's superficial. She's trying to get her to talk about the real issue, which is very hard and almost never happens within fat acceptance. Almost never.
shame
Yes.
never came from myself.
I know.
The shame is
but
external
you-
factors, and
hold
that
on.
is why
Remember
we
when you
turn
said to me
to body
earlier?
positivity.
Remember when you said to me earlier, fuck my parents?
Okay, I didn't say it like that. Mommy's
Girl.
watching. Me and mommy's watching. But here, let's talk about the parental wound. I'll tell you how my parent was wounded. Want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I feel like you are saying, Maha, Maga, it's too close. I think they should have picked a different name.
She's trying to do a political distraction. So you're seeing it. Distraction, deflect, distraction, deflect. Don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. Throw. Like you throw everything at the wall. She's trying to get Jillian to get triggered, basically. And I mean that more in a culture war style, rather than a psychological. I shouldn't use that word. She's trying to rage bait. I should use the Gen Z version. She's trying to rage bait Jillian, basically. And it's not working because Jillian is not going to be triggered. So, I mean, rage baited. Pardon my millennial.
We can work on that. But my thing is that
Okay.
what you're saying is, I feel that you're coming to the table. You're like, listen, I think that I'm a little bit scared this is an ad for Maha, but
No, forget I'm not talking about Maha. here.
Jillian
She barely talked about it.
Michaels is saying she wants a seat at the table. She's going to go to Southwest with Tigress and say, fat people deserve 2 seats. Don't charge them extra. Let them on the plane, bitch. She's going to go to Nabisco and say, stop putting this shit in the food because, Jillian, I like the food in Europe. I like the makeup in Europe even better.
I have been doing the Nabisco part.
Cool.
Yeah. So she's gonna do her advocacy the way that she's gonna do it. This is kind of like an activist moment where it can be kind of like when people feel entitled to your advocacy or entitled to your activistic work. It happens all the time. I do not tolerate it at all as an activist. I don't. Because you're not entitled to anybody's activism. So she's kind of having that moment. That's a little bit different. I think it's still just a part of a deflection.
Southwest part is a bit of a separate conversation, but the Nabisco
Sure, there's
part
a lot
I've
of
been doing.
conversations. I think you're coming to the table to say whether or not, it's just like Oprah. We acknowledge our part in diet culture and
Projection.
whatever. Like, let's make the change. Let's
Say
blame
it's
it on the
not
bad guys.
About diet culture.
We haven't even talked about diet culture today. That is a separate episode. Body positivity is what we're talking about. I think we have turned to body positivity because of the shame. Because at 9 years old,
Yes.
my mother,
Yeah.
who was a translator for her mother, who was an immigrant. At that time, it was very easy to come to this country. My grandfather came here with a letter in 1964, $100 in his pocket. They are the American dream.
Gotcha.
My mother was at the doctor with her mother.
Okay.
And a doctor, a professional man,
Okay.
I'm sure he was likely white, turned to her and said, ask your mom if she can have.
Race. Again, she's trying to use race too. So to me, it's just all the same thing. I mean, I always tell you guys, people will use anything political. Like she's trying to use political buzzwords and stuff like that. That's all she's doing. It's a way to deflect. It's a way to not talk about it. It's a way to hide. So whenever you see a zombie doing that, it doesn't matter really what they're saying. Again, whether they're using left-wing political terms, right-wing political terms, whether they're using, Christian terminology or spiritualist or, like New Age terminology, whatever it is, whether it's just to deflect. That's all it is. It's a deflection mechanism. I try to convince you guys all the time to not take it seriously, especially when she is triggered, which she is triggered right now. And I mean that in the psychological sense. She is, because she's talking about the issue. It's hard for her. She's mad. She's getting upset. So she's kind of doing all that stuff.
Have sex. Ask your
let me go back.
mom, doctor, professional man,
Okay.
I'm sure he was likely white, turned to her and said, ask your mom if she can have sex. Ask your mom, just tell your mom she's like a VW bug going up a hill with 9 people in it. A child.
I get it.
I mean, that's where it all comes from, right?
And I believe that. I do believe that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real. And that is related. It's that type of stuff that happens that it is traumatic. And, there's probably a lot more to it than even just that. But she's talking about how her mom basically got into the TR. That's basically what she's saying. So she still won't really talk about her own issue. She'll talk about her mom's. But yeah, it's still, that is more of a story. That is actually real.
Right? Like, my mommy wound is only because of her own trauma.
Of course, it's multi-generational.
Of course,
It is multi-generational.
multigenerational. It gets into the epigenetics. It gets into how she raised me. Maybe you don't know you're on a diet till you're like 6. And then you go to your aunt's house who's like, anything you want, right here. What do you want at the grocery store? We'll get you whatever. What did I want? I wanted Yoo-hoo like everybody else because I wasn't allowed to have Yoo-hoo. I wasn't allowed to have a ding dong. When I came home and I said, I want ding dongs in my lunch. You know what my mom bought me? Low-fat ding dongs. And low-fat ding dongs aren't wrapped in foil. So everybody knows they're fucking low. It's not a fucking ding dong. I want the foil. I want the foil. So she's acting out of her trauma. Now I'm just like, I didn't.
To me, it's like, okay, we're getting to some real stuff here. We're getting into like that TR experience. And she was definitely raised with it. I still believe there was a trigger, though, for it. But I don't think we're ever going to get there. She can't actually talk about it. So that's important, too. But the foundation of it was very much there. And that's enough to get somebody to be fat, typically, because it's still bad. But, yeah, she's definitely in it because of the way she's talking about it, too. It's very, I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's just very zombie. That's the only way I can describe it. Like, I don't want to say dramatic because that's not enough. It's kind of more than that.
Choose to be here, and now I'm like, literally this woman is crying as I get off the plane from the Yoo-hoo trip because I had gained so much weight. My grandparents had to buy me new clothes. But I think that great aunt that offered me the Yoo-hoo and said, it's right here, honey, and you don't have to ask anybody when you want one, she knew I was being restricted at 6 years old. And that is why at 26.
But the fact that you, I don't know, she probably was modeling her mom's behavior. So there's a lot to that, and that very much does happen. But again, like in my experience, I definitely modeled some of my mom's behavior. I would see her bingo as a very young child, and I modeled some of it, but I wasn't in it. I was like getting there. So I was chubby as a kid. I was upset about being chubby as a kid, but it still wasn't there until I had the trauma that I had at 9 and 10 years old. It was during that time that it actually became a thing. And then I was actually in the TR. So you can have that foundation, but it still has to be activated. And then you start to gain a lot. So around 10 years old, I was kind of in the TR at that point. 11, 12, I start upsizing significantly. 13, 14, really upsizing. I get much bigger. And then it coalesces to 15, 16, ever bigger, gaining every single year until it bloomed into a full-blown moment when I was 18 and I was senior in high school, and I upsized by 50 in that year because my trauma has to do with my dad. And my dad was trying to come back into my life when I was 17 and 18. So it completely reactivated that. And it got much more severe. And I upsized by 50 pounds in my senior year. So you can look at it and it's like clockwork, you know. Traumatized by him at 9 and 10. Then he comes back at, I think, 18, you know, whatever. The number doesn't really matter. 17, 18. I think I was 18. And then I upsized dramatically. It's like, I can see it. You can see it all, you know, when you look back at it. But I will tell you what it is. A lot of people don't want to tell you what it actually is. But yeah, so I don't know what it was for her. I don't believe it was just that, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think so. She's a little too severe for it to just be the modeling of her mother.
When you hear
But
about
it is a foundation, and when activated, it can be real severe if you have that kind of foundation.
body positivity and you're like, well, I've been on a diet for like 20 years. maybe there's more to life than
But not honestly, because you've been doing it in a way that's in the TR, so it's never actually a real attempt.
trying to lose weight. That's what body positivity has given me. So do I still want, of course, to make the right choice every day for my nutrition? Yes. I mean, I can see there's like empathy. I also feel like when you were talking and you thought I was going to interrupt, you could like hear my thoughts through my eyes. And people like you only get to be people like you because you're a unicorn.
You're a unicorn. You're Clarabelle. You're the lucky one. You're walking on water. Very, very, very TR. Very, very, very TR.
You're a very special person to have gotten to the place that you've gotten in this world.
Can I interrupt you?
I'll finish my point.
Oh, I want to say too, the reason she's saying that is because Jillian said that she was overweight as a teen. So that's part of why I'm saying that. She's probably trying to combine it all with like your money and you're this and you're that. But again, it's just a way to deflect further. I think it's more about the fact that Jillian did downsize and kept it off forever, basically.
Point is that's where body positivity came from. Body positivity actually came to me. You know what I was doing on YouTube? My first YouTube video is me doing the master cleanse. And showing people how to cut the lemons and put their maple syrup in. But then body positivity came and said, hey, you should be talking about plus size fashion, not the master cleanse, girl.
Sounds to me like you still have a lot of stuff that is upsetting you. It sounds to me like you're still contending with a lot.
The other thing too is it's still the same thing though. It's just a different aspect of it. It's body obsession rather than diet obsession. But it's one of the 3 pillars of bingo. You obsess with your body image, you obsess with dieting, and you obsess with food. And bingo. So if you're doing any one of those 3 things, honey, you made a lateral move. You're in the circle. You're still in it. You're not even close to being out of it. So it's like if you make your whole brand about plus size fashion, then that's body obsession. That's an obsession. You're still in it. You're thinking about it every day, all the time. So then when you think about it every day, all the time, then you see Victoria's Secret or you see, which she'll bring up GLP-1s later, then she's triggered because she's obsessed, because she's still in the issue. She hasn't recovered at all.
Contending with a society that every day, every minute of the day tells me not only
And all
I
the
have to buy a
zombies,
product,
the zombies in the back are reinforcing. They're like, yes, yes, yes. I'm telling you.
be thinner.
Listen to
I have
me.
to take a GLP-1. Serena
Listen to
Williams
me.
is selling me a GLP-1. Jillian, that's problematic.
But listen to me.
And then I'm old.
Will you listen? You're
I
still externalizing the wound. The first conversation, I think that's where we stay. The first conversation. That is the most important thing. I don't care about Serena Williams. I couldn't care.
Serena Williams, that's been
Mama, who gives a fuck?
because Jillian,
She's not
when you're
important to you.
fat.
Look
when
at
you
me.
no,
Look at me.
but when I am getting a
And
GLP-1 ad every time I open any app on my phone, watch the TV,
not
drive down the
advocating for that.
Sure, but imagine
not.
in my position, Jillian.
Yes.
I went 6 months where every waking hour,
Yes.
including the 3 a.m. pee, my mind
Yes.
said, should I go on a GLP-1? Should I go on a GLP-1? Should I go on a GLP-1?
Yes, and that's an obsessive thought that is within the TR. Within E followed by letter D, it is extremely repetitious. And again, at her level of severity, there are brain changes that have occurred at this level. There's a lot there. And it is difficult to get out, but you have to get out because that's what that is. If you're in it, then of course you're going to obsess with it like that. But that's not society's fault. It's not. And that can be really hard to let go of. Because why? Because you can't control society. So if you blame it on society, then you can't get out of it. Then it's not your fault. Then you never have to recover. That's the point. It's the same thing with everything. Everything, basically, that people say about it. It's always about trying to say that I don't have control over it. But you do. The whole point is that you do. But when you talk to other people about it, you have to deflect. Okay. Jillian isn't allowing that.
Okay.
Would you call that food noise? What do you call that?
E followed by the letter D. So I would have just said it flat out. Jillian isn't saying that, which is fine. Maybe she's not as familiar. That's totally fine. That's not going to be everybody's like thing to do. Again, if she wants to go after big food and Nabisco and stuff like that, that's great. I totally support her. I think it's important work. We all have to focus on what we're good at and that kind of thing. I get that.
You tell me.
I call it fucked up.
I call it E followed by letter D. It's bingo.
I call it
Fucked up.
fucked
Hold
up
on.
because I'm over here like I own a plus size fashion store. I look like the first fucking fat housewife of Beverly Hills. I'm fucking gorgeous. I got they, thems, he's, she's coming out of my ears.
Listen
I can
here.
fucking
They use sex to flex a lot within the TR. It's very, very common. Very common. But you see she's getting reactive. She's getting loud. She's yelling. She's flailing her arms around. It's very zombie. So could you handle it? You know, how would you handle this? I want you to ask yourself that.
anybody on the street, but this world wants to tell me that I need to shrink myself.
not the
that there's a
world, though.
thin woman
But you
within
li-
waiting to get out.
Can I say something?
I think I ate her.
Can I say something?
I don't think
Can
she's
I
here.
say something? You also
She's trying to use humor to deflect again. It's avoidant.
told me that what the world. Tell me how the. Okay, back up. Okay, tell me how the world makes you feel.
I constantly feel like I have to be smaller. I have to be quieter. I have to be more submissive in my marriage. I have to shrink my body to fit on a plane. I have to have a bigger car because I need a little more room. I need to go to a
She's obsessed with her size. That's what I'm hearing. Absolutely obsessed.
special store, or actually even better,
How does
order
it
it
make you
online.
feel?
Makes me
I
feel
don't want
like
circumstances.
shit. Makes you feel worthless. It makes you feel like I can't go to the mall and spend my money.
It makes you feel how?
Devalued.
Okay, stop. When's the first time you felt that way?
When I was in ballet and the teacher picked an outfit I didn't like for the
How old?
recital. 8.
When was it when your mom put you on a diet? You said 6.
I mean, after that Yoo-hoo incident, it was a real.
Did that make you feel the way you're currently describing?
No, I didn't know what was. At 6 years old, it's like I knew the ding dong was different because it didn't have the foil,
I'm
but I didn't
trying-
understand.
I know, because it becomes. But unconsciously you do understand. And now, this pattern is playing out everywhere. It has a name. It's literally Freudian. It is called a repetition compulsion.
What about the genetics? Like when I look
Okay,
at photos, you
let's-
said there were no fat children 100 years ago.
No.
I find that
Hold on.
very strange.
There were
to
very
me.
few. And
Okay, there were fewer.
Fact check me.
But there have always been fat people.
Hold on.
And there always will be. We will not be eradicated, and we're not.
Fat is a part of identity. So to lose weight is to be eradicated. Okay. So that's where that comes from. It's TR. Very, 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 very TR.
Going anywhere. Fat's where it's at.
We're not going anywhere. It's not who you are. But they see it as who they are.
Claim the word. You don't have to do this anymore. You can say bigger bodied. You can say fat.
Okay.
I want to ask you right now to stop using obese and be a part of that.
Okay, so you want fat?
Obese is a slur.
I've always thought that calling someone fat was
She's right. Fat is more of a slur.
actually far.
But it's not really a slur, but you get what I'm saying. It's more of an insult. I'll just say it's an insult.
It was.
Because
It
if
was.
fat is tissue, it's
Yeah,
not a
but
person.
For
But
our
if
society, it's the worst thing you can be. It's absolutely what.
Projection. TR. She's triggered again. And I mean that in the literal sense. So it's the worst thing you could be. See?
Every woman
so
and
wait,
man,
hold on.
woman, and
So
child
hold on.
mostly.
So you're saying fat is the worst thing you can be. So is
That's
this
what
like?
our society projects.
But so
No.
you guys want
That's
to
what you're yelling at people on
Wait,
the.
hold on.
It's what the zombie horde projects, but not the world. That's not true.
The show to be like, don't you want more than to just be fat? It's
Why do you
what
think,
everyone is so afraid of.
Why do you think they showed up? Because they didn't want to be there? You think that they showed up because they were forced?
No.
There were thousands of people. They showed up because they wanted change.
Because the world is telling us we have to change.
Listen to me. Stop making it a...
I don't even know, you guys. Like, she might be a bloater. It's bad. It's pretty bad because there's a complete ignoring of the health aspect too. That's also there.
About the world. Because if you cannot stop, listen, you can't change the world. I mean, sure, hopefully, maybe some people can. I don't know. It's not that freaking easy.
I think you might be able to change.
It's not that easy. Just do it about what we can change.
Okay, she feels entitled to her activism again, which is annoying. But that's just a personal gripe. It's a personal gripe. I do believe we can change the world, Jillian, but I think it is very difficult. I think it does take a lot of work that a lot of people don't want to do. But as an activist, you try to get people to want to do it. That's the work. It's a bitch, but I'm not here to complain about it because I do love it. The point is, I do think you can change the world, but what's easier? Is it easier to heal the world or is it easier to heal yourself? And where should you start? That's how I would have asked it. That's what I would have said. Because you have more control over all of this than all of that. And when we are taking on activistic causes and stuff, you may not see the result of that. You might die before it happens. And it is a sacrifice and it is a duty and all that stuff, but something people feel called to for whatever cause it is. But you don't know if you'll ever even see it, you know? I don't know if I'll see the obesity epidemic over. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm a bit impatient. So clock's ticking, you know, that's how I feel. But that's my own standards and that's my personality, you know? So I'm going to fight like hell, basically, to make progress on this. But it is definitely, I understand the potentiality that I may never see the result of it. But I'm going to do the best I can to walk so future people can run and you do the best you can, you know? But I saw my own recovery in my life. Everybody can. As long as it's not too late. Like, I do think there are some health issues where it sometimes can be too late. I do have to be realistic about that. But that's why there's an urgency to it and why you have to get out of the TR ASAP. You have to fight it every day. Every single day. You fight it like hell. Every day. You never stop fighting it. Oops.
Is how we respond to the world. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. True. What I think you're doing, okay, with the world, is reenacting this pattern that mm-hmm. you have from being very young. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's healthy for you because it keeps you pretty angry all the time, it seems like.
Oh, you don't know me well. I'm not an angry person. I think
it makes her anxious. I would say anxious. Oops. Gosh, I am like flopping right now. Goodness. Oh my gosh, I'm still flopping. I think it's this mouse, actually. It's not my fault. I'm going to externalize blame onto the mouse.
In this context, it's harmful to say that the world doesn't have an impact on why people want to be on a show that's about weight loss.
I think...
Again, let's be more specific, ma'am. Marcy, it's not the world, it's the zombie world, the TR world. That's true. However, you don't have to listen to it. You don't have to be a part of the zombie horde, and you shouldn't be. You absolutely should not be. I'm not anymore. Zombies try with me all the time. They've tried the whole journey. But you don't have to listen to it. And if you don't listen to it, they kind of leave you alone. Because it's kind of like you're no fun, you know? If they can't get reinforcement from you, they leave you alone. If you reinforce, if you turn to them and you go, yeah, the media, it really does put pressure on women's weight. And yeah, if you say that to a zombie, oh my gosh, they're never going to stop talking to you about it. They're going to be like, I can talk to them about it. I can talk to them about it. So just don't say that. Just say, no, I don't agree with that. And then they're like, well, and they might get all pissed, but then they won't bug you again. You just don't reinforce, you know? I do think the media, there's a lot of people in the TR in media, you know, so there's that. That's true. But the media doesn't give you an E followed by letter D. It doesn't. It's other stuff, you know, but it's a way. I do agree with Jillian. You're externalizing that.
That people want to be on a show that's about weight loss.
The point is, though, I will tell y'all where it came from. Most people won't. You know, I don't have there was nothing else that was really traumatic in that way that has to do with the E followed by the letter D. I've been traumatized 2 other times, I would say. I think I talked about it once, but they weren't the root of my E followed by the letter D. The one that was my dad. That was the root of it. That's where it began. Trauma manifests in other ways at later points of life, you know, I'll tell you now too. I'll just put it all out there. I don't care. I got canceled in my personal life. So I faced a lot of social outcasting when I was 22. So I was like persona non grata in my personal life. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of family at the time. I was canceled, right? And that was deeply hurtful. And after that, it led to, I was bullied at that time too by a narcissistic ex-best friend that had counseled me as well. I was canceled. I don't know what to tell you. I was canceled before it was cool, y'all. But the point is, that led to other types of trauma. So that put me in a position where I became, after that, it changed the way my brain worked. And I was extremely bitter. And I became more competitive. And more, I would say more competitive for sure later on. And, trauma changes you. But you can heal from it, In 2024, I went to a wedding and I had to see that ex-best friend who bullied me at that time. And, she was pushing me to the point of wanting to unalive. It was pretty bad when I was, 21, 22, that time frame. And so I saw her again at the wedding and it was healing because I just was like, oh, she ain't shit. And I was like, oh, yeah, fuck her, And then I got over that. And then I wasn't as competitive. That was part of my tortured era. But that happens sometimes when you're dealing with a narcissist. Sometimes you take on some of their qualities. And for me, I took on that competitiveness and that hyperstatus consciousness from her, which that happens a lot for anybody who's dealt with a narcissist before. But the point is, you heal. I healed. I got over it. So after that, I wasn't like it. I wasn't like that anymore. You see? So we can always heal. Not everything causes the toxic ritualistic. You can have multiple sources of trauma. But at the end of the day, I think it's in your best interest to heal them. I've been healing in an avoidant attachment style since the autumn of last year. And it's been one of the most transformational things in my life, but it has little to do with my E followed by the letter D, little to do with the TR, almost nothing to do with it, actually. I was that way from a young kid, So it's there can always be more work to do or more spiritual or psychological growth or healing. But at the end of the day, I think it's so important to find the root of the TR if you're in it. That's what you have to look at. you really have to find that and deal with it. I really believe that.
Because they want to lose weight.
I think it's because everyone has told us we have to lose weight, that you are not good if you don't lose weight. If your friends are at a...
It's not true. It isn't even true anyways, because I've told you it's the exact opposite these days. So this is not, like, she's thinking about things maybe 20 years ago. She's not thinking about today.
burger joint, you're the one getting the salad because you know you should restrain from the burger even though we're at a burger place because...
So it's the memory of reduction. The memory is enough.
You restrain from the burger.
Because that is what the world has told me, that I have to make the good, healthy choice. Also, let's talk about the fact that no one here said that we don't owe anybody health. I don't owe
Bloater. She might be a bloater.
anybody my
When you
health.
start like advocating for death, then I'm like, ooh, that's really bad. But she's kind of in between. So maybe she's progressing to a bloater. She's a clicker about to be a bloater. But it's kind of like, I think what it is for her specifically, I don't know that she's advocating for death, like in the way that William Hornby would. I think she's just having a moment of like, I don't care about myself. I hate myself. So fuck my own health. That's basically what it is, which is horrible. And it's like, that shouldn't be accepted. I don't accept that. Like, you should care. You do have inherent value. And I think it's really hard to see that when you're in the TR. It's devastating. But I think that that's what that is.
You want to be healthy.
I am healthy. I'm healthy for me. And this is what healthy for me looks like.
Can I ask you this?
Lies.
If I sent you to a doctor who ran a full comprehensive blood panel, if there were biomarkers,
Yeah, there would be some fatty liver stuff coming up.
Okay.
Sure.
That's a problem. It's a big deal.
Yeah, the
do
cholesterol.
you classify that as not value? This has nothing to do with your value.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about
Is
numbers, the
fatty
data.
Liver,
Sure.
healthy.
But thin people get fatty liver too.
They're far
It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to you. And she's going to say it's far less.
less inclined.
Time we're out.
Yeah. So I understand what Jillian was doing. I think it's interesting. I think Jillian, she does pretty well, but she has a lot of experience. So as far as like representation, especially like on Jubilee, for example, where the bar is in hell, I would say that she did very well for Jubilee. That's what I would say. I think that overall, it was an interesting episode. There was a lot of stuff that was kind of weird, but that's how Jubilee is. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I tried to offer my perspective. I got some of you guys messaging me, and I was like, I need to talk about it. So I hope that this was a good like balance. But I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day, night, etc. I will see you soon. Bye.